You're watching the Mortgage Busters show, and you know we say this every week. This show is all about paying off your mortgage as fast as possible, but also preparing for your retirement. Rain, how are you going?
Yeah, all right, how are you?
People are ringing into the show?
Yes, they are. They're ringing the show and asking for the Thumper report, which we can provide for our viewers at no cost.
Would you like to welcome our guest?
I would love to. Now, we have a very special guest today. His name is Mahir Tucker. He is the CEO of The Game Changers. Welcome, Mahir.
Pleasure to be here, guys.
Welcome, Mahir.
Thank you.
It's so great to have you here. Would you care to tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Sure. I'm the CEO and director of Game Changers, which is a coaching and consulting company specifically aimed at business owners, small and medium-sized business owners. And we specifically help and coach them in their inner and outer strategies in creating personal and professional success.
So what does that mean, personal and professional success and inner and outer strategies?
Sure, it's an excellent question, thank you. Far too often business owners, who have been in business for a long time, right? They've been in the business so long that they just have forgotten that they have a life outside of business. So we help them essentially step out of their business so that they are not stuck in it, while the business can continue to grow and flourish.
That's fantastic.
So Mahir, the viewers of this show, they're very concerned about paying off the mortgage as fast as possible, but also for preparing for retirement, right? Most of our viewers are sort of 40 years plus. How can you help us in terms of changing behaviour to prepare for the financial needs of our clients?
Sure, and we say that financial success is always an inside job.
Yes.
Right? How you are inside is what gets reflected in your actions that you take in the outside of it. And a big part of that is the most accessible tool that we have is our brain. So understanding how the brain operates, how we think, what our identity is around money and success, taking control of that is the quickest way to actually change your behaviors and being successful in that space.
Fantastic. So, in terms of the viewers watching this show, what tangible advice can you give us in terms of their success?
Wow, that's a huge ask.
Maybe we can start with what you were talking about, the brain.
Definitely. Look, I'm just going to go quickly into how this piece of meat that sits inside our skull, how it works in the first place. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. When you look at the original design of how the brain is, it's got many parts to it, right? It's got parts that have evolved over millions and millions of years, which most people know it as the critter brain or the creature brain, right?
Is that like the lizard?
The critter brain.
The critter brain, and the critters that run around.
Like little lizards? Like little lizards that run on the ground and things like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a part of our brain that is designed primarily for only one thing, survival. Right? That is the part that is responsible for what we know as fight, flight, and freeze type of aspects to it.
Hang on, so say that again.
So there is a part that is responsible for fighting. That if a predator attacks a creature,
like
it can
threat.
It's like a threat. It's a perceived threat. Then it will either fight it, or it will flight, run away, or usually we call it deer in the headlights. It freezes because it just doesn't know what to do next. Right? So usually this is how that brain operates. And then over time as humans, we have developed some additional layers on the brain, which is the neocortex, which talks about quality of life, right? Enjoys opera and music and things like that. So when we look at those two different parts, the only thing safety is considered from the critter part of the brain, while quality is from the human part of the brain, right? And financially speaking, for a lot of people, money and survival is interlinked very tightly, right? So we need to learn how to actually decouple a little bit of that relationship so that we can make it easier for people to have a healthy experience of success and money while not triggering their survival mechanisms about it.
Wow, that's such a fascinating subject.
It is fascinating.
What kind of, so for example, if people are making financial decisions, you said you had to uncouple, as in separate the financial decisions people make to the critter brain that's saying, hey, am I safe? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so there are two things that the critter brain looks for. It looks for, am I safe? Right? Is this going to kill me or not? If it finds that this is going to be okay and survivable, it will just continue to do that same thing. Right? And the second thing it looks for is belonging.
Yes.
By doing this, will I be like the people that I'm with?
Like your family?
Maybe your family, maybe your friends, your community, whosoever is your ecosystem that you're born into.
Wow.
So when we have that lethal combination of survival and belonging, and when you potentially look at your family, your upbringing, your ancestors, how many of those actually had a better experience of life than you are having, right? Most of us have had an experience of struggle and challenges along the way. There's a beautiful saying that we use in our coaching, which says that in a family of thieves, the one who doesn't steal feels guilty.
Hang on, that's fantastic. You need to say that again.
Please.
Can you just repeat that for us?
So there's a saying that in a family of thieves,
Yes.
the one who doesn't steal feels guilty.
That is that's profound. It's
Yeah.
very profound.
Yeah.
Because our need to belong overrides so much of our logical, rational thinking that a big part of us just unconsciously goes about making decisions in life, be it in relationship or especially in when it comes to money and success, that we end up pretty much, very much like our parents or our ancestors.
Fantastic. How do you look? Is there a strategy to break out of that?
Oh, there are many strategies to break out of that. I think first and foremost, being able to actually step into the framework that how to include the experience of life that you want, while also keeping the bonding and the relationship that you have with your family, including both those parts, is a big part of this game.
Can I just...
So many questions.
Yeah, there's so many questions, but I have one. Is that why a lot of lottery winners, when I know there's this in the news recently,
Exactly, yeah.
there's this guy who won $380 million. He lost it all within 3 years.
Exactly, because sometimes when our ecosystem financially changes a lot, it immediately puts us out of rapport with everything that we have grown up with.
And everything we know.
And everything. So most people
Yeah.
either end up being paranoid about when they win, or they have no idea how to manage that money.
So they become dysfunctional.
At some level, yeah. At
Yeah.
some level dysfunctional, and at some level there's a level of guilt that shows up, that how can I have an experience of life that is so much better than my ancestors or my parents, and unconsciously somehow they bring the slider back so that they can belong in the family system where they were.
So they'll kill all their good fortune just to belong with their family and
to
feel
a greater
safe.
degree of lack of understanding of how
Yeah.
to manage success,
Yeah, yeah.
and sometimes feeling a big sense of guilt when it comes to being super successful.
But here we have to go to a break. You're watching the Mortgage Busters show. We'll be back momentarily. You're watching the Mortgage Busters show, and we're back with Mihir Tucker. Welcome back. So we were talking about achieving goals, especially in a financial sense.
Right.
So can you tell us a bit more about the first step required to do that?
Absolutely. The first step in any situation in achieving goals is to be super clear about that goal in the first place. Right? Is that goal something that is sustainable? Is that something that you can achieve? And being clear in terms of when are you going to achieve it? Who are you going to achieve it with? Right? What is the exact process that you're going to go through to be able to achieve that? Because far too often humans are good at wishful thinking rather than actually putting real strategies in achieving that. And the second part,
that's potent, you know, wishful thinking. People do this quite often.
Exactly.
In fact, probably on a daily basis.
Exactly, and finance is one of the areas where people just wish that they could wave a magic wand and everything would change for them, right?
Yeah.
So we highly encourage that. Get super clear emotionally as to what it is that you're really going for. Is it peace of mind? Is it safety or security, right? Is it fun? What are you really after? Because your strategies will evolve based on your emotional component of it. So when you look at your goals, start thinking that is this something that needs to be, if you are looking for finishing a mortgage, is this 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? How exactly do you want to do this? Because somehow the brain has a beautiful way of actually structuring it out and making it happen for you moment you give it enough input and enough clarity.
So the brain can be beautiful.
The brain can be.
Seriously,
the brain, it can be. It certainly
exactly,
is, right? It certainly
And helpful.
And helpful, right?
Yeah.
And in so many ways, banks and mortgage companies, they use that to their advantage.
Of course they do, yes.
Right?
Yeah,
by actually laying out a proper schedule of payments for you.
Yeah. To their advantage.
To their to their advantage, because the other part of the brain is that it is a bit of a lazy organ. It likes inertia. Moment you have set a path for it, it'll just try and follow that exactly the same pattern.
Of course.
So unless you are proactively managing that part, either through some financial advisor or financial planner or through somebody else, or you are proactively involved with it, it'll keep sticking itself to that same crummy, probably a crummy mortgage plan that you may have signed up for.
It's fantastic. And you mentioned being proactive. You know, most people think that it's hard and it's a hard slog and it takes a lot of energy and brain power to be proactive. Is that the way it is? Or is there tricks you can use to make it easy and fun and be proactive?
Right, and that's why if you are somebody who likes to work in a team with somebody who's qualified to do that for you, that's one of the best ways to actually start laying the groundwork and the foundation.
Even if it's your husband or wife, you can be a team.
A team of somebody who understands how to create various options in your life.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody who's qualified in that profession.
Like a financial planner.
Like a financial planner,
but
probably.
But even a spouse, you know, if you're in the on the same page and you're both excited about paying off the mortgage, because you can make it exciting.
Exactly.
Sorry,
yes.
Ryan.
Sorry. No, I'm just, and maybe that's what we need to emphasize on, how to make it exciting.
Yes.
And the feeling that people get, if they get this great kind of good feeling payoff, then they're more likely to do that, won't they?
Sure, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because to a certain degree, the part of our brain, the primitive part of our brain, is designed to move away from pain. Yes. It's not designed necessarily to move towards pleasure as much. Right? So anything you
move away from pain.
Yeah, and then if the only choice is the only one choice that it's been given, it's only going to go for that, even though it may not be the best choice, but it'll still be better than moving away from
like
pain.
What the banks trick you into thinking with having that payment schedule.
Probably, yeah. It's good for keeping that structure alive, but what's helpful, repeatedly, is when the brain can see multiple choices. Right? Imagine going to a restaurant and if there's only one choice on the menu, and if you don't like, I mean, I'm vegetarian, and oftentimes there's only one meat dish on the menu. And
of course.
So when you add many choices to the menu, the brain can actually choose one which will be a better choice automatically, and it will go for it. That's how we are inherently designed emotionally.
Right. Is that how we get clear as well about what we want?
Getting clear actually helps make the choices for that part of the brain. So getting clear upfront, saying that, so let's say if I have 5 different ways of achieving my retirement goals, one of the choices will emotionally and tangibly feel a lot better than the other 4.
Okay.
And somehow...
Can you give an example of that, you know, how would it feel different? Is it a feeling?
Sure. Like a negative example, but really relevant, is that people who actually go for junk food, right?
Yeah, this is good, yeah.
Right. They know that in that moment, it's feeling good. I'm going to go for it. But the human part of the brain takes a lot of willpower to say, don't eat that, it's not good for you in the long run.
That's where the hard work is.
Where the hard work is, right? We want to make sure that we are cooperating and working with that part of the brain that sees eating healthy food as good for its survival.
Right.
Oh.
Right? So if we allow for that part of the brain to see that, wow, actually you will survive a lot better by taking these choices in your financial life and following this specific schedule, right? Because you are already on this train where you know you have to pay this monthly mortgage, and all we are doing is that we are saying, okay, there are a few different train lines here that we're going to put these schedules on.
Okay.
And then that part of the brain automatically says that, wow, okay, it saves me more, right? I'm doing exactly the same actions. I'm not changing my behavior of paying on a monthly basis. It's just that I'm paying it a bit differently, and this is how I'm planning for it. So that's why working with a professional in some ways who can create many different choices for you to pick from makes it a lot more quicker and easier for you to achieve that goal.
Great. Can I just ask though, because a lot of people do things because it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good for them to continue doing the same things they've always done.
Inertia.
Like, rather than change it.
Exactly.
So how would you tackle that?
People resist change.
Yeah, people do resist change.
Exactly. So what we are saying is that don't change the container in which you are doing it. Like if you have whatever behaviors you are doing it, change the source of which that behavior is stemming from. Right? If you are paying your mortgage on a monthly basis, keep doing that, right? But change the structure of the mortgage itself, or make a little bit more payment around it. Or when you look back at what is the goal you want to achieve, let's say in 5 or in when you retire, seeing that as a reverse engineer solution, saying that, okay, if I want to retire with say 10, 20 or 15, 20 million in my bank account, what needs to happen now? Somehow when you ask your brain those kind of questions, it actually neurologically starts changing you towards a different set of solutions.
Just by asking.
Just by asking and stepping into that framework of actually seeing that, oh, what do I need to do differently right now?
Wow.
And somehow we are good at actually creating that outcomes for ourselves as well.
Does that mean we'll actually change our behavior when we ask our brain to change it?
It does allow a little bit more of juice to flow into those parts of the brain. Yeah, it does actually. And then it kind of starts to make that correction along in that direction to a certain degree. It takes a little bit more than that, it's a bit deeper than that, but at least it's a good start.
And I have to say you're a big thinker because you're talking about retiring on $20 million.
Why not?
No, exactly why not?
So, yeah.
Fantastic, that is great. All right, we have to go to a break again here, so we'll see you on the other side of the break. You've been watching the Mortgage Busters show. We'll be back shortly. You're back with the Mortgage Busters show. Mihir, we were talking about retiring on $20 million of equity or wealth. I mean, that's a big ask. Most people are not going to, that's not going to happen.
And they're time poor.
Time poor, of course.
Well, look, I'm no financial expert either, but whatever number is right for you, that's the number you need to work towards and reverse engineer. Right? So let's say you...
Reverse engineer. Yeah. I understand that concept, but I've never really thought that through. Really, in a real sense. Yeah.
Well, do you mind if I share?
Yeah, absolutely, okay. Please do.
So when I was working in my job, and I had a number in mind that okay, I would like to retire or plan for retirement with this specific number. And when I worked back all the way up until that point in time, I realized that there was a big gap. And even taking into account all the increments that my job would potentially provide to me, I said there is a big delta here that I need to do something different right now.
Did you say delta?
Yeah, there was a big gap, right?
Yeah.
So it made me aware to all the emotional stuff that came up, the fear and the crappiness and everything that showed up at that point.
So you experienced this as well?
Massive, massive, right? Yeah. And that was the trigger point. It's very human, right?
Yeah.
We all have this strategy of hope and pray. Right? What's the saying that hopium is the drug of choice for a lot of people?
Oh, that's fantastic.
But it's not if you reverse engineer or you start with the end in mind, is it?
No, exactly.
But have you heard this saying before?
Hopium is a drug of choice. It's great.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
sorry, go on.
Yeah, and that for me was a big trigger in actually shifting out of my job into starting my own business with everything that I had accumulated at that point in time. My life experiences, my learnings, and that's what triggered the game changers at a deeper level.
Fantastic.
So I think, logically speaking, every person has a rich set of stories or experiences that they can actually bring to the table in some form or the other.
So you really, truly live out the credo, the game changers.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
I believe in that.
That's fantastic.
So what will we need to do? So if I say that I need to change everything, I do not want it to be like making another New Year's resolution. Once I do it, I feel good for a few days and then, oh, it's out the window. How can I make these changes sustainable?
Sure. One of the first hardest part of making anything sustainable is actually to step into that emotional discomfort about it.
Okay.
Right? Whatever you might be struggling with that you're avoiding the most in your current financial situation. Somehow there's a part of us that when the hope is taken away of something happening, it kind of grounds itself, and from that point on, it rebuilds itself. So financially speaking or emotionally speaking, when humans have this tendency of, okay, wow, here I am at this point, and it's okay, I have survived this.
Yes.
Then it builds a future and it moves itself towards asking yourself the question, what would I like now?
The feeling of, I'm safe, it's okay for me to have this change.
To have this discomfort as well at this point.
Yes.
To experience the discomfort of, struggle and everything. And then asking what needs to happen for me to actually move towards the planning, the retirement number that I have in mind for myself. And somehow miraculously, our brain is beautiful at taking instructions and creating the outcomes that we are really looking for. So that's step number one. Right? The second step we ask people to do is add more choices to your menu. Don't live off of an impoverished menu.
Impoverished.
Impoverished as an impoverished mind?
Impoverished mind or impoverished set of choices in your financial planning or an impoverished beliefs or impoverished set of options by which you are going to create your success. Right? I mean, I moved from India to US and everywhere, and I've been creating my success. So for me, I feel like If I can do it, anyone else can do it.
Yes.
Right? So looking at life as a rich set of menu to choose from and stepping in that okayness.
Looking at that, knowing that there are a lot of options and not just the ones that are presented to
Exactly.
us. Like going to school, getting a job, and then having a family, and then working until you die, kind of thing.
Right. So asking yourself, how else can this be achieved, is where your brain will be useful. It will find the answer somehow.
It'll find a way.
Maybe I'm diverting, but can you create the mindset of being the protagonist of what you want to do, or the receiver of what you want to do? You want to be the protagonist, don't you?
I think when people become more accountable for themselves, when they step into that framework that I can do something about it, that's when they're most empowered to actually create the outcomes.
So it's the power in
It's the power, it's being able to,
accountability.
but then there is also, that's why we talk about inner and outer strategies. Right? Doing that inside part is critical, but it's not enough. You need also the right set of external strategies, and that's why there's this whole world of financial planning, and that's what you guys have been educating on as well.
Yes.
So take stock, be accountable, and achieve.
And
it's not just taking stock, it's prepared to be uncomfortable with the things that you do not want to face in your financial situation.
Yeah, and essentially recognizing...
You've got to confront yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And recognizing that the earlier thing that we said, in a family of thieves, the one who doesn't steal feels guilty.
Fantastic.
So how can you be okay with the level of success that you are going to create in your life?
Yeah. Fantastic.
So that's one of the two key steps that we highly recommend.
So confronting your inner demons around finances, and the second step is?
So the second step is planning it out and having more choices on your menu.
Oh, having more choices. So that's in terms of getting knowledge as well as changing yourself from the inside to prepare for the more choices.
Yeah, so that when you can choose from different things, it makes it for an easier experience of life.
It's true.
So we're talking about big picture, approaches.
Yes.
What can the average person that's watching the show today, what can they do today to change their situation? Is there anything that can happen in a mindset?
Definitely. I think it's a very tangible act that somebody can do. The first thing that I would recommend is go out there, speak with some professional planner who can help you create many choices for the future that you would like. Right? There is not only one way to achieve that, there are many ways of achieving it. So definitely have that conversation with whosoever you trust. Go back to the drawing board, be it with your partner, whosoever it may be, to see, hey, is this the life that we really want? And if we want another way of life, what needs to happen right now?
Can I just check with you, isn't it essential then, if you're going to be speaking with your partner, to work as a team to make sure that your financial goals align?
Yeah, definitely, because people have different financial profiles. Some people are more pro-risk, while others are risk-averse.
Fantastic.
Right? So,
Mihir, look, we're actually running out of time for this show today, but we'll be seeing you again next week. So this has been fantastic. I've learnt so much already.
Yes, it's great to have you here.
absolute pleasure to be here.
So we'll see you again next week.
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Rain,
Yes,
just let everyone know, with regards to the thumbprint report and how people can get in touch with us.
Absolutely. So it's very simple. All you need to do is call 1-300-862-746.
And that number again
And
is?
that number again is 1-300-862-746. And you can call us for your free thumbprint report. We can also get you in touch with Mihir, our special guest. You can also email us at info@tmbshow.com.au.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the right mindset. You've been watching the Mortgage Busters show, and we'll see you again next week.